Somewhere deep in a remote corner of the Pacific Northwest, an aging bear roams this ancient rainforest, and a young man is intent on finding him before it's too late.
So it is in our best interest to save this bear.
This extraordinary bear changed the course of young Simon Jackson's life. Now he's fighting to save its home.
It's simply a matter of protect it all or protect nothing. Save the bear or kill the bear.
But time is running out for the ghost of the rainforest. This is the last chance for Simon and the spirit bear.
Joseph, it's Simon again. Oh, okay, great. Okay, see you in a second.
Simon Jackson has been a student at the University of Toronto for only 1 week, and already school is taking a back seat to the cause.
Good to see you again. I hear there's an hour's wait at the airport. So.
The concrete jungle may be his new home, but he's racing to get to a place far closer to his heart. The Great Bear Rainforest, home of the spirit bear.
Thanks so much. Take care, Joseph. Bye-bye.
There he will seek out a rare white-coated male bear, the very bear that was once the icon of Simon's own improbable environmental campaign. That old bear may be dying.
Okay.
I'm going to Vancouver.
What time is your flight?
10:15.
10:15. Oh, come with me. Okay, here.
Okay. Great, thanks so much.
So Simon is racing for one last encounter with the bear that defined his childhood and redirected his life.
221.
Okay, right there. Wonderful, thanks so much. You too. All right.
The Great Bear Rainforest hugs the wild, wet coast of British Columbia, 300 kilometers north of Vancouver, where Simon grew up.
When you breathe the air that's here, when you walk in the water, you hear the howl of the wolf and the screeches of the eagle. When you see it, ghost of the rainforest, just, it's a couple feet away from you, it's a whole other thing altogether.
Simon's passion for bears began when he was just a little boy, when his parents, Carol Ann and Clive Jackson, took him to Yellowstone.
We'd waded through hail and rain, and we'd been there all evening. And I think most adults realized that most kids would have, folded and said, "Okay, time's up."
He got a passion just for watching them and seeing them. When you see these mighty animals just easily tossing aside 40, 50-pound rocks as they dig for ground squirrels. It's an amazing sight, and I think it rubbed off pretty quickly on him, and he grew to love them.
The young Simon came home with a mission: to save endangered bears.
So I did what most 7-year-olds would do and had a lemonade stand and wrote letters to President Bush and Prime Minister Mulroney and raised $60.
One neighbor was very kind. She was taking home pictures of lemonade.
I was happy that he was doing something other than just sitting watching television or playing computer games or, getting into trouble. I didn't think he'd stick with it.
He did much more than stick with it. It consumed him. At the dock in Klemtu, in the Great Bear Rainforest, an old friend is waiting.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good to see you.
Tom Ellison works the charter boat Ocean Light 2 with his wife, Jen, and daughter, Sarah. With luck, they'll guide Simon to what could well be his final encounter with the old bear. The Kermode bear has always inspired awe and fascination. In 1904, a taxidermist caused a sensation when he shipped stuffed specimens to the Royal British Columbia Museum. The curator, Francis Kermode, put them on display and gave them his name. In 1924, a live cub was captured. It led a lonely life penned in a city park in British Columbia. It died of old age 24 years later. Today, it's estimated there are just 400 of these white-coated bears in the world, and their future is in doubt. Environmentalists have dubbed the Kermode Spirit Bear, a name that's rooted in a native legend of the local Tsimshian people.
The raven, the creator, wanted to leave a reminder when the land was once covered with ice and snow. So, the raven turned every 10th bear white, and he decreed that they should live in peace.
But scientists have another explanation. A recessive gene carried only by black bears in this tiny area causes 1 in 10 cubs to be born completely white. Paul Paquette is a bear biologist.
The black Kermode bear, and this is confusing because these are white-black bears, the population or subpopulation that inhabits that coast, many of those bears carry that recessive gene.
Both father and mother must carry the recessive gene to produce a white-coated offspring. Any disruption to this tiny subpopulation of bears could wipe out the Kermode forever.
Essentially, to protect the white bear, you have to protect the black bear.
Well, here we are, Simon.
When Simon was 13, Tom Ellison took him to see his first spirit bear, the big male. Tomorrow, they'll search for that same bear again.
We've had to look very hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But they're around.
yeah, they're around if you know where to find them.
Sure.
Thank you, Jen.
What do you think we're going to do tomorrow?
I think we're going to go find some bears.
Simon's a guy, a kid, a boy who has a dream. He didn't choose to play hockey. He didn't choose to do any number of things that kids do. He has chosen and stayed with his passion, and that passion is wilderness and the spirit bear. And as far as I'm concerned, good on him.
This time, though, the search is urgent. No one expects the bear to survive the winter. Tom has just 72 hours to find the old male.
People always say, you're obsessed about campaigning, you're obsessed about saving it. In a sense, I suppose I am, that this bear, to me, there are no maybes about this. It has to be saved.
When he began at age 10, Simon didn't find much sympathy for his obsession. His single-minded quest would cost him dearly, and it would pit a small boy against powerful forces.
But no one was doing anything about it, and they were planning on logging it. It was just being swept under the carpet. I thought, it's ridiculous. I had to do something.
Laredo Inlet, on British Columbia's Princess Royal Island. Simon and the Kermode Bear expedition pushed deeper into the coastal rainforest. They have less than 3 days to locate an old male Kermode, the bear that helped launch an environmental juggernaut. The Ocean Light 2 has traveled these waters countless times.
Purposes. They're coming right at us.
And still, there are surprises. As the Ocean Light 2 nears its destination, a school of Dahl's porpoises surfaces.
Their weight rings, Mom.
The world's fastest cetaceans, capable of reaching speeds of up to 30 knots, they easily keep pace with the boat.
You really are in a wild place when porpoises are swimming with your boat. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good photograph of the porpoises this time because they move so fast. This whets your appetite, so to speak. It kind of gives you the bit of the thrill that you get when you're trying to look for a bear.
Simon Jackson is about to rendezvous with the man who shares that thrill, his mentor, Wayne McCrory.
Hey, Simon.
Wayne, good to see see you, buddy. See you. Yeah, that's great.
I know. Isn't it great to be back? Wonderful, happy day, beautiful day.
McCrory is a bear biologist who has spent the last decade fighting to save the spirit bear.
Finally, well, your never come.
Wayne met Simon when he was just a kid in elementary school.
See you, Simon.
This 10 or 11-year-old kid gets on the phone. He says, I just came back from Yellowstone Park and I heard we had a spirit bear in British Columbia that needs some help. And I went and read up on him. And he said, I found this out about them and that out about them. He says, you know, I want to help save them.
Wayne was mentored to me because he gave me the time. He didn't shuffle me off to Buffalo. A lot of people did. But Wayne, I kept calling him, pestering him, and he kept giving me time.
This squeaky-voiced kid, I call him, at the time, and with so much passion and enthusiasm. I thought he's either too good to be true, or this is like another angel who's coming along to help with the conservation of the white bear.
You don't have to be, left-wing on the political spectrum to support this bear and want to...
Lunchtime on the Ocean Light 2, and Simon has a captive audience.
I don't possess a special talent for saving bears. I could go after trying to protect elephants in Africa or trying to protect tigers in India. But this is an issue that is on the same scale as any of these. This bear is equally as rare as any of these animals. But it lives in my backyard. If you're really going to make a difference in something, you got to find one issue that you really believe in and learn everything you can and basically kind of live that issue until you're successful.
Sometimes Simon comes on too strong about saving the spirit bear. It's kind of almost like, I think he hits some people like a freight train sometimes.
It took that kind of intensity for a small, awkward boy to square off against the forces that threaten the Kermode bear's existence.
That's an individual's call.
I think what we need to talk about is, I think everybody wants to go up the salmon stream and really see the ecosystem first. What we're going to do this afternoon on this beautiful sunny day, which is really rare for the coast, is put our waders on and take our cameras and head up Jackson Creek here to see what we can see.
Wayne gives a briefing on the hazards of trekking in bear country.
Don't act aggressively. That will only provoke the bear more.
This time of year, the chance of a dangerous encounter with a bear dramatically increases as they all come down to feed off the returning salmon.
Whatever you do, listen to us and don't panic and run off on your own or whatever, no matter what happens.
Come on in.
Here it is, here, Lucy.
Come on in.
Everybody loves it. Probably every
I'll also have Lucy, my bear research dog, with me, and she's really good, especially when you are watching a bear, along a salmon stream, and another bear comes walking up behind you and you're all focused here. She'll go like, "Arr."
No, you stumble jump, you're gonna have to.
It's fall, prime time for viewing Kermode bears as they descend from the hills to fatten up for a long winter hibernation.
They have to gain a third of their body weight, partly of which they do from eating berries, but mostly it's when the salmon come back.
Life is abundant in this temperate carnivorous rainforest. Eagles, wolves, and Kermode bears thrive here. And all living things depend on these trees. This forest is home to some of the last great stands of western red cedar, ancient giants that tower up to 65 meters. When these giants die, Kermodes den in the hollow interiors of their stumps, and they feed in pristine streams teeming with salmon. But loggers are moving in. 2 companies have already clear-cut part of the area and hold more licenses to cut vast tracts of Princess Royal Island.
You'll see little piles of gravel like this.
that has thousands of eggs in them, so try and walk in between them or you'll crush the eggs.
The hundreds of thousands of salmon that return each year to spawn and die fuel this rare, intact ecosystem.
It's a remarkable thing that they can find their way back here after years of traveling the oceans. Nature's kind of ugly in the way that they're decomposing as they're dying, but it's in many ways beautiful. They are sacrificing themselves in order to ensure that their salmon will be here for next year, that they'll nourish the forest floors and make the trees grow bigger and make the bears come back. These really are the salmon forests.
Conservationists insist that logging here directly threatens the bear's survival.
Some places in British Columbia, the salmon are extinct because of logging. So once you take away the salmon, you're going to take away the spirit bear, you're going to take away the grizzly, you're even going to take away the wolf over time, because you're destroying the lifeblood of the ecosystem.
Even logging over on the mainland could hurt the bears here. Biologists fear it will force regular black bears to swim to the island and crowd into Kermode territory. Bears whose mainland habitat has been logged have been known to swim as much as 15 kilometers in open ocean in search of a new home.
We really don't know what the long-term effects are, but one of them could be a swamping of bears that come from the mainland that don't necessarily carry this recessive gene that's expressed as the white Kermode bear. And by swamping, I mean the gradual disappearance of that gene within the population.
And now we know it is a unique gene. Hair samples from the white Kermodes on Princess Royal Island prove the bear's DNA is unlike any other. The Kermode may look like a polar bear, but it's far from it, both geographically and genetically. Kermit Ritland, a project scientist at the University of British Columbia, studies the bears.
It shows that there's a definite evolutionary legacy in the bear population, that this unique variant of this coat color gene has become established through some natural process. But the Kermode mutation has not been found in any other animal.
Logging threatens that genetic legacy. That's why Simon became convinced he had to save the Kermode bear's home.
But no one was doing anything about it, and they were planning on logging it. It was just being swept under the carpet. And I thought, it's ridiculous. I had to do something.
When he started saying he was going to do this, I thought, yeah, right, Simon, that's great. And I probably patted him on the head and listened to him with half an ear when I was doing other things at the time. And, I thought it was a neat hobby. And I thought perhaps a passing passion.
He said, what can I do? I want to get involved, and who should I call? And I said, well, I'd start through the phone book and look up organizations and see, you got to do your homework, you got to talk to people.
So I picked up Yellow Pages, picked up White Pages, went through, picked out all the names of all the agencies, all the bureaucracies, all the organizations which had some impact on this issue directly or indirectly.
He was a pretty shy kid, and he wrote down everything he was going to say and phoned, I think, the Suzuki Foundation.
I was fearful and talking on the phone to people I didn't know. I was going to either have to overcome that and learn what I could from different people and the knowledge that they were willing to give up.
The first organization that he called, he was very stiff, and he read his script, and then when he was finished, he hung up and I did it.
Simon set out to convince the provincial government to permanently protect prime Kermode bear habitat on Princess Royal Island and the adjacent mainland. To make his point, Simon decided to suit up.
He decided right from the very beginning that he was going to wear a jacket.
Everyone has the stereotype that if you like bears, you want to save, trees, that you're a tree hugger. I wanted to really throw them off guard. I wanted to show up at every meeting, even if it was the most casual meeting, in a suit.
Simon took his sport coat and his message to school.
We went and spoke to all the different English classes and encouraged students and teachers alike to write letters to the Premier, and in the end we sent about 700 letters.
It was amazing because he was shy, and he actually had a stutter. He not a serious stutter, but he stumbled and stuttered when he spoke. And in fact, one of his teachers used to say, you know, public speaking isn't your strong suit, you know, Simon.
Simon anxiously awaited an official reply to those 700 letters.
You'd think it'd be the slam dunk issue of the decade for a political party.
But it wasn't. The government's response? A form letter.
Just asking for one single letter in response to an entire school who did this would have seemed not only common courtesy, but the best thing to do in terms of a political career.
He was incensed. He was furious. You know, how dare he, you know? Well, he hasn't heard the end of this, you know? So
I think at that point he lost some of his innocence in thinking that our political system listened to everybody and cared about youth. All they did was blow him off.
It was an all-time low for Simon. To raise his spirits, Wayne arranged for Simon to fly to Princess Royal Island.
You can only be so passionate about something you read about. As Wayne always says, that he comes back here every year to kind of charge the batteries for another year in the fight. And it's true. It's easy to lose sight, not lose sight of what your goal is, but it's easy to get disheartened, I suppose.
It was the first time Simon saw the old spirit bear in the wild. It was the impetus Simon needed to go on, a lift that would launch a movement.
It was special for me to be there when he saw his first white bear. In some ways, it was like giving him an injection of the rainforest.
Simon moved his campaign into high gear, but it came with a price that would be personally devastating for the young teenager.
There were some hard times, when he came home crying. I think he kept quite a lot of it to himself.
It starts off as a joke, but he became obsessive about it.
With time running out, Simon's expedition to find the old male spirit bear comes across a hopeful sign.
Hey everybody, there's a fresh salmon here that the bear has fed on. So that's pretty amazing.
Sure is.
Fresh bear tracks lead to a large spawning bed 100 meters upstream where the coyotes like to feast. The waiting begins. Hours pass, and no sign of the old coyote.
We'll head back down slowly, and maybe we'll see something along the way and get up early and head out. Who knows?
The rains move in, and the expedition moves on. Downstream, a black bear appears.
Simon reminds me of myself. We're both crazy about bears. I'm also a bit of a loner, and I think Simon is too. We're a little bit different in the kind of common values we share about conservation. We're kind of like buddies, I guess, in that way.
Back on the Ocean Light 2, the team regroups after a disappointing day.
Dwayne and Tom especially, who've helped keep this place wild and free. My friends joke that I'm a 60-year-old man stuck in the body of a 19-year-old, all the way along. But in some ways it's true, because I was forced to become an adult at an early age and do adult things at an early age, and I picked up different things from different people along the way. But mainly what Wayne offered and Tom people offered was they allowed me, accepted me into their adult world.
I thank them from the bottom of my heart for what they did, because the patience they showed in developing, a raw, immature teenager and developing him into someone who became a fairly articulate spokesperson for something they had cared passionately about for even longer than Simon.
To the future of the campaign and the bear and our hopes to keep this issue alive and save the rest of the areas. So cheers to the bears.
To the Spirit Bears.
And the spirit of everybody.
Tonight, Simon is in his element, surrounded by friends. But throughout his school days, his obsession with the spirit bear only made him enemies.
I was forced to eat my lunches by myself. They would not talk to me because they were afraid they were going to look cool. I mean, the usual stuff. But they took it to an extra step. People every day I would go to school and think, oh, wouldn't it be great if you got mauled by a bear? Wouldn't it be great, I'm going to go out and kill a bear, a spirit bear today. I have white rugs. Sure, people, it starts off as a joke, but they became obsessive about it.
It was awful. It was, it really was. It was some hard times, when he came home crying. I think he kept quite a lot of it to himself.
You want to go and smack them. You do. You want to shake them and say, he's such a nice kid, they'll be so miserable.
What I was going through was something I had to deal with myself. It was something that really nobody could really help me with. They couldn't make kids be nice to me. They couldn't make girls want to go with me. They couldn't make it easier. Teachers want to be more supportive and more helpful. It wasn't something that they could do anything about. It was just a fact of life that I was going to either have to deal with and get over, or collapse as a result of.
First light, and only 2 days left to find the aging white bear that inspired Simon's campaign. But the day's barely begun when there's a bad sign. A gray wolf is spotted along the mouth of the Salmon Creek.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting.
The fact that we saw the wolves hunting there meant it wasn't going to be a great day for us seeing Kermode bears in that particular area. What they found in Alaska from studying wolf scats, that up to 10% of the scats are made up of hair and bone content from coastal black bears.
There's not much time left, and the bears have gone into hiding.
Just throw that way up on front on the sleeping bags.
We're going to another river. Actually, the spot where I've seen the white bears the last 3 times that I've been up here.
Extra battery?
To travel faster and lighter, Simon and Wayne will race ahead of the Ocean Light 2 in Wayne's powerboat.
Okay, you guys, be careful.
See you later, Tom.
Yep.
Rock and roll. Everybody in?
The destination, a salmon river on the northwest coast of Princess Royal Island, where Wayne believes the bear to be.
It's amazing. The mellow white bear used to be the king of the river, but in the last few years he's become thinner and we see him less.
The elder male roamed Princess Royal Island for 2 decades. His picture, a symbol of the fight to protect the island. His image appeared everywhere, on billboards, brochures, websites, and campaign posters.
The spirit bear does a lot of the campaigning on its own. I helped give the bear a voice.
And when the media's interest in the bear waned, Simon changed tactics. He set out to get celebrity support for the spirit bear. The timing was perfect. The ultimate teenage celebrity was about to arrive.
As Prince William pulled up, all the girls at the game were waving their roses and wanting to get a chance to shake the hands of the prince.
During a royal visit, Simon managed to grab the attention of Prince William.
He was walking along and saw me waving my book on the spirit bear, and I think was quite shocked, and came over and as did Prince Charles and Prince Harry, and took the book and chatted with me for about 2 minutes or so about the bear, and they were very enthusiastic.
Prince William agrees to support Simon's cause, and with that, Simon takes his campaign global, launching the International Spirit Bear Youth Coalition on the World Wide Web.
Today, fewer than 400 white bears live in the world, one small corner of BC's mid-coast. But for me, I want my children to know of this bear as a wild bear in a wild place, and not just tracks in the sand and a legend that once was. By writing a letter to the Premier of BC, asking him to save the few remaining areas, because once we save the rest of these areas, we'll forever be able to say that the spirit bear will be wild and free. And in the words of Alfred Lloyd Tennyson, "'Tis not too late to seek a better tomorrow." Thank you for your time.
This time, Simon doesn't stop at 700 letters. Thanks to the Spirit Bear Youth Coalition, 20,000 kids write letters to the British Columbia government.
I think it showed him that, there were no barriers. He could smash his way through any barrier if he really put his mind to it.
And the media had a fresh new angle on the story. The boy who loved bears versus government and big business. Karen McAllister is a co-founder of the Raincoast Conservation Society.
I think that Simon really captured media attention because he's a little bit like the spirit bear. He's a symbol of what the rainforest stands for. He's, he's young, he's playful, he's quite charismatic, just like the spirit bear. He's also very serious. We were really happy about the attention that he was able to gather for the issue.
But there was also an undercurrent, charges that the environmental groups were manipulating Simon.
What small, cheap minds would take a youth like Simon, who works so hard, and claim he had been manipulated or something by these big environmental groups?
Live from BCTV. And when it came to the media, Simon was still to face his greatest hurdle. His own father.
What's the hardest single line in the story?
Simon's father is the managing editor of BCTV News, the most influential news program in the province. It was the one place that had no airtime for Simon.
Caused us to get in a lot of fights, I'm sure, over the course of my involvement in the campaign, because he's my father. You'd expect him to support anything your son do.
He expected that BCTV would cover his story, and I said, "No, Simon, I'm not going to do it. I can't. It's a clear conflict of interest."
He was trying to be so unbiased that he became almost slightly going the other side. He was, if we're going to try to protect the bear, the jobs are going to be lost for Western Forest Products.
As Simon appeared on BCTV on a regular basis, or even infrequent basis, I think it would be met with cynicism in the Premier's office, because they obviously know about the relationship, and it would be met with cynicism both in the media and people who know who Simon is. And I think it was much, much better that, for both our sakes, that we separated and went our own, separate ways. And in that way, you can do the Python follow if...
At times, I hated him for it, but I do respect him for it, and I do understand where he's coming from. So I had to work twice as hard to get public support because people at BCTV wouldn't touch it.
But there would be one story the station could not ignore.
Simon Jackson is featured in this week's Time magazine as one of the heroes of the planet.
My dad's boss said, "Clive, this is a legitimate story. Take a week off, we're doing it."
This could be any high school student working on their creative writing skills. But 17-year-old Simon Jackson is not just any student.
I basically want the government to create a 250,000 hectare wilderness conservancy, or equivalent to that of a provincial park, in and around Princess Royal Island and the adjacent mainland of the Green, Cootsie, and Elton Hash inlets. You see the long-term effects, such as fisheries.
Convincing the government is going to take a little lobbying, so Simon has devoted himself to bringing other youth on board.
The honor caught Simon by surprise.
The board of Time magazine had selected me as one of their 60 heroes of the planet, one of only 6 people, kids from around the world. But I really didn't realize how huge it was and how really big the honor was until they flew me to San Francisco with my family and closed down the main streets of San Francisco for a parade with the other heroes. Had this incredible reception in this private concert with Charlotte Church, and Haley Joel Osment was the MC, and saw the issue, and it blew me away.
A boycott of products made from old-growth timber takes off on the wings of the Spirit Bear campaign.
Yes, maybe the story initially would be, and he was called Hero for the Planet by Time, but the story would then go into what the issue was, and that was what was key to this. This was a media blitz that no money in the world could buy. I mean, this was phenomenal.
Looks a bit foggy up there by Bag Creek.
After a 4-hour trip up the Inside Passage, Wayne and Simon arrive at a salmon stream that is their last best hope of seeing the aging Spirit Bear.
Oh, the tide is right in.
It is, isn't it?
They wait, and soon the rest of the expedition catches up. Daylight is fading. The group is about to call it a day, when suddenly, a glimpse of white on the shore.
Where?
It's the old bear.
Awesome!
Yeah, okay, we got the bear, so we got to fly here.
Oh no, he just crossed into the woods.
Thrilled to see that it's alive still.
It's great. Big white bear.
Okay, watch yourself.
Just saw a quick glimpse of this ghost bear, and hopefully, if we wait here long enough, we'll get another glimpse.
Simon's about to see why the white Kermode bear beat such a hasty retreat. On a small island in the Great Bear Rainforest of British Columbia, Simon Jackson waits. He's just glimpsed an old white bear he's come almost 5,000 kilometers to see. But the old Kermode bear, icon of Simon's obsessive environmental campaign, disappeared before Simon could get a closer look. Now everyone sees why. There's a new king of the forest.
This other black bear that had sort of been around years ago, I have pictures of him, has gradually ascended to a greater position of dominance. This white bear has gone down the ladder of, power, and Mr. Big King of the River just walks around and everything runs from him.
Remarkably, Simon and the crew are able to view the new king from a close distance. Bears here have not learned to fear humans.
Bugs are stinging. Hi, I'm Simon. Oh, it's right last year. Yes. Good
German wildlife photographer Ralph Berglund has been camped here for 2 weeks.
Have you had a lot of good sightings this year?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah?
The best.
Oh, really?
The best of all the years I've been
Really?
here, yeah.
Oh, great.
There's 2 white bears.
Two white bears, wow.
Black bear with the whitish forehead.
Yeah, what I call Patch, yeah.
He has taken over.
Oh, has he?
Hello? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so
He's-
the old white one has become very shy.
Patch kind of moved him out?
I guess so. Very good.
Yeah. At least he's still alive.
He's still alive. Yeah, but not in a very good shape.
No?
This winter will be its last winter. Yeah. He's really in a good shape.
The struggle for dominance in these woods has taken many forms. Simon's fight against logging companies and government has been long and frustrating.
It was an emotional roller coaster. It was tiring to no end. Not seeing my family, not seeing my girlfriend, having no time for myself, just constantly worrying.
Then, after almost a decade of work, a breakthrough. The British Columbia government finally bows to pressure and announces it will begin talks to end what was becoming a costly war in the woods. After months of tough negotiations, the government announced the creation of the Spirit Bear Protection Area.
It is the right thing to do, number one, for British Columbia and Canada. Number two, it also protects our markets.
Virtually every single rainforest valley in BC's Great Bear Rainforest is now either permanently protected or protected for the next 1 to 2 years.
Greenpeace is prepared to suspend our international markets campaign targeting major coastal BC forest companies.
I wouldn't say there's great happiness in our company today, but there's some relief.
The Vancouver Sun arrives on my doorstep at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I get up early, and I picked it up that morning. And I opened up the front page, and there was Simon's picture and that headline, Boy's Spirit Saves Bear. And you know, I started to cry. It was the first time that it actually hit home what he had done.
I was relieved to see it finally come to fruition. Finally, have the government announce it, to have the public see it. It was a beautiful sunny day in Vancouver, April 4th, 2001, and it was the happiest day of my life.
The agreement permanently protects 600,000 hectares of habitat, including half of Princess Royal Island and pockets of the nearby mainland. Other land, so-called option areas, is preserved for 2 years. To secure the deal, the government compensates forest industries and guarantees native bands other lands to log.
It was a historic first step, and it was a result of everybody from all sides of the issue coming together in this.
He had achieved something at the age of, 19 years old, something that most of us never achieve in a lifetime, and if nothing else happens in his life, he can always look back and say proudly that he made a difference to his planet.
But Simon can't rest yet.
The only way to save this bear is to protect that gene pool, so you have to protect this entire wilderness.
The option area adjacent to the Spirit Bear's range has only been set aside for 2 years.
You can't be picking and choosing which areas you'd like to protect and which areas you wouldn't. It's simply, in this case only, it's simply a matter of protect it all or protect nothing. Save the bear or kill the bear.
We probably are going to need something in the range of 40,000 square kilometers in order to really protect the Kermode bear. And these numbers are very threatening to a lot of people, and it also might make some people less than interested in conserving these bears as a consequence. Keep in mind that more than 50% of the old growth forest on the west coast has already been logged, so we're talking about the remaining 50%. And it seems reasonable to me to ask for protection of a large percentage of that remaining 50%.
After gorging on a feast of salmon, the black bear retires to a mossy bed. And minutes later, almost like magic, the ghost of the rainforest reappears.
It's really a very amazing moment to be here after coming here for so long and finally know that this bear and this river ecosystem will be forever protected.
It's kind of ironic and fitting that bear is hung on, and somehow mysteriously he's helped save this for all the future generation of bears here, and that's a beautiful thing.
This is probably his last year, and it was nice to have the chance to come back and see that he was still around and protecting his home. And it's kind of the changing of the guard, in a sense, in the land of the Spirit Bear, and it was wonderful to see.
Simon will be protecting the Spirit Bear's home, too. He still has to persuade the British Columbia government to preserve the option areas. This fight is anything but over. But one voice can make a difference. A few days later, Simon Jackson is back in Toronto, where a new chapter in his life is beginning. He's far from home, but his parents, knowing Simon, are far from worried.
The steel that I see in him, the backbone, the integrity, even as his mother, I find remarkable. And it is as a result of this long road that he took and this experience.
If you're writing about trade,
He's in his first year at the University of Toronto on a full scholarship awarded to him for his extraordinary achievements.
consider a web source something people.
Simon is following in his father's footsteps, not Wayne's, choosing journalism over activism.
He says he doesn't want to be a hack like me, Dad. He wants to be a journalist that will go and change the world. And right now, that's what I think he thinks he can do. He can get out there and make a difference by going out there and writing and exposing and bringing his values to reporting.
And his future looks promising. He's been offered an internship at Time magazine.
I decided that I would save the $90, and I bought Bob Dylan tickets for tonight.
His life may be changing, but he still spends most of his spare time campaigning for the Bear.
The campaign is not over. What we've accomplished so far to date is a tremendous success, and everybody who's taken the time to speak a word for this global treasure should take pride in this accomplishment. But only half of the area is permanently protected. Half of the area is only temporarily protected and must be protected in order to save the white bear.
The bear has a right to be here. It was always here. It's not asking for anything more than its due. And Simon was asking much the same, I guess, in his life, is that, you know, this is who I am, and I'm entitled. I'm entitled. Just the simplicity in believing that you're entitled to be here.
In the end, an extraordinary boy helped gain a reprieve for an extraordinary bear. The kid with the cause found a home for the Kermode bear, and ultimately found a place for himself.